Hey rockers, how's it going, man? Coming back at you tonight with another rock and roll tale. I was sitting around earlier thinking, man, I haven't done any good music stories about any like classic rockers in a while. And I thought of a kind of a short story revolving around well, very overplayed on the radio, but still very influential, very well liked, and very mega successful Steve Miller Band. Yeah, man. Remember as kids, those of you that are like my age that grew up in the 70s, Steve Miller Band was all over the radio. As a matter of fact, we're still in 2025, or we are in 2025, and we're still hearing Steve Miller Band on the radio all the time. The good thing about radio is the rock and roll, but the bad thing about radio is that it's owned by like the same corporate conglomerates, right? And these guys don't let anything go by except for the same tired hits over and over and over, to where a lot of people watching this video may say, I love Steve Miller Band, but man, sick to death of hearing him on the radio all the time though. And that's kind of how I am. Big fan of his records, big fan of Steve Miller. Even the stuff from the late 60s, that stuff was really good. He had hit songs though galore. I mean, I've got a list here in my hand. Just some of the songs. These aren't even all of the hit songs by Steve Miller, man. Abracadabra, Jet Airliner, Take the Money and Run, Rockin' Me, Fly Like an Eagle, Living in the USA, 1968, The Stake, Swingtown, True Fine Love, Mercury Blues, another one from 68, Keep on Rockin' Me Baby, Serenade, Wintertime. That guy had more hits than just about any other rocker, it seems like, on the radio, except maybe CCR. Those guys had hit after hit after hit. But Steve Miller Band, man, they were an interesting, really good band. Steve Miller is very underrated as a guitar player. I hear he's not the nicest guy to get along with, but I've also heard contradictory stuff about that too, so who really knows? Seems like a private guy, and the story I'm going to tell is about him wanting privacy and moving from wherever the hell he was at. I presume California. I could be presuming wrong, but he basically went out to Williams, Oregon, all right, back in 1975-ish. He decided he needed some privacy. He built the studio out there in his property. Williams, Oregon is a really cool kind of a laid-back, pot-growing hippie town that used to be an old gold mining town. Well, Steve Miller basically released his album The Joker in 1973, decided he needed more privacy because that record was huge. He was probably working a lot, making lots of money, probably getting burned out, decided, hey, why not go to some paradise up in Oregon and buy 300 acres? Yeah, he bought 300 acres in Williams, Oregon for the privacy. Basically, he built a 24-track recording studio. I tried to do research about this studio, and it kept coming up with, oh, there's no definitive proof that he ever owned a studio in Oregon. And I'm like, the hell he didn't. And then I kept getting contradictory information like, oh, it was located in Medford. Oh, no, it was in Williams. Well, it was in Williams, Oregon, and I'll tell you why, because I ended up marrying a couple there. Yep, some of you may not know, but I'm an ordained minister. Yeah, the Universal Life Church, baby. So many people have been ordained through the Universal Life Church. It takes about a minute, but it's legal. And you have to do it, through certain channels, but you have to get legal in the States once you have a minister's license. And I myself have probably married 36 couples in my life, and it's been a trip, man. I mean, I've done all kinds of weddings, man. I did a Grateful Dead wedding once. I've done biker weddings. I've done weddings in bars, weddings in cemeteries. My first wedding was a mass wedding. Yeah, man, back in the early 2000s. It was at a bowling alley in Bloomington, Illinois, and we called it Lover's Lane. And I married 13 couples on the same day, and it was on Valentine's Day, so it was this huge radio hook and promotion that we did. Reverend Moody's Church of Rock, call up, the phone number of the radio station and get signed up. If you want to get married, you can be part of a mass wedding. And that's what we did, man, thanks to Patty Dodspach, my old general manager at WIHN 96.7 iRock. But we did it. We pulled it off. I did a mass wedding, 13 couples. I continued, I was legal in the state of Illinois. And then in 2011, I relocated to Oregon, right? And I got legal out here, and I started doing weddings in Oregon, which, by the way, I'm still legal. One day I'd been living in Oregon for a while, and I kept hearing about different rockers that lived out here, different actors, different famous people that lived in Oregon. And the drummer for Country Joe and the Fish, like just a lot of Craig Chiquiso from the Jefferson Starship. And then I heard that Steve Miller from the Steve Miller Band, owned a studio in Williams, Oregon, but he had departed because he was only there from 76 to 86. I made some notes, so if you see me looking down, I'm just looking at some of my notes because a lot of this stuff I have memorized, some of it I don't. But once he moved out there, basically, he recorded or crafted the Fly Like an Eagle album out there at the studio, right? And I'm not sure, and it's debatable whether he recorded the whole thing, some of it, but he crafted that studio out there at that really cool studio, which became known as Pacifica Studio. And Fly Like an Eagle, man, was super successful. Like, this thing probably set him up for the rest of his life, and he wasn't even close to done. It was 76. But yeah, that album came from being inspired from the beautiful, Oregon paradise, man, the mountains. The album's recording location was listed as CBS in San Francisco, and it's widely known, however, that he did develop the music for that album, that very successful album, at Pacifica Studio, which I don't know if that's what it was called then, in Williams, Oregon. But I heard that he had problems recording out there. He had really good, auditory, I made notes, man. He had really good problems, or he had problems with sound because there was a lumber company, like a big mill, about a half mile away from the studio, and he had all this incessant vibrations that were constantly interrupting his acoustic and electrical recording. So we put in a whole bunch of acoustic padding, and it did nothing to help matters. So the studio, I don't know how much he actually recorded there. In 2009, however, the studio was leased by my friend, rest in peace, to Dennis Dragon, Grammy Award winner Dennis Dragon, who was the son of Hollywood Bowl Symphony conductor Carmen Dragon, and his brother was Captain from Captain and Tennille, right? So Dennis Dragon played drums with Captain and Tennille. He also was played with the Beach Boys a whole lot, like on the road and albums. But Dennis Dragon was known to me as the drummer for the Surf Punks, man. Legendary Surf Punks out of California. Great band, pop punk stuff that a lot of people love. And there's a story on this channel all about Dennis Dragon and my friendship with him. He was a guest at my radio show, but he ended up leasing Pacifica Studio, and he would call me up and say, come on, man, come out here and record your next album. But the money was kind of pricey because you have an award-winning producer like Dennis Dragon. He's not going to do it for peanuts, and that's how he was making a living. I regret that I didn't record there, man. Instead, I went down and recorded with Paul Rossler at Kitten Robot Studio in Los Angeles, which is where I did my last 3 or 4 albums, actually. But Dennis Dragon, rest in peace, man. He owned that studio, and he was really having a good time at Pacifica Studio. And then one day I got a call, and somebody asked me if I'd like to officiate a wedding. And I'm like, sure, man. And I was given the address for Williams, Oregon, got the information, that I needed to do a wedding. And then I found out Steve's property had a 9,000 square foot cedar lined pole barn on the other side of this big pond, and he had a glass door that went up and he could park his tour bus in there, right? And he had a wooden upstairs built above that so his roadies could play indoor basketball. So he installed all these really cool oak flooring. Woohoo! Tongue twister time. Yeah, he installed oak flooring, and the guys could play basketball there at his studio. But he did sell more than 40 million records in 40 years. 40 million. Steve Miller. Yeah, it doesn't surprise me, man. But I got asked one day to officiate this wedding. It was a friend of mine. His daughter was coming in from somewhere in, I think, California. Maybe I'm wrong. Don't really remember. But I was asked to officiate the wedding. I said, sure, I'll do it. We came up with an agreement. When I actually got out there, I was shocked to find out that it was indeed Steve Miller's old studio. And when I got there early before the guest arrived, just the bridal party and some of those folks were there, I was walking around amazed at the acoustic sound in that room. It was great, just amazing. And there was gold records and silver records on the wall from the recording studio that Steve had left there. I guess just to keep the place like a shrine, to keep people remembering that, Fly Like an Eagle was recorded here. because there was definitely a commemorative, like either silver or gold record on the wall with the story about it being recorded there, or parts of it. So yeah, man, that was pretty cool. We ended up doing the wedding, man, and a lot of people were talking about it being Steve Miller's old place. There was a bunch of old rockers there. It was kind of cool, man. It was like, wow, I'm doing a rock and roll wedding in Steve Miller's old studio in Williams, Oregon. And I am available for weddings. I haven't done one for a while, but if you're in Illinois and you want to fly me in, I'm all yours. If you're in Oregon, hey man, get a hold of me. My email is always on the description area of all my videos. I do reserve the right to have fuzzy memories on some of my videos, man. But I'd say 90% of everything I say is very factual. Some of it can be a little fuzzy. That's up to you to determine, man, you know. But I try my best to tell truth and never divert from nothing but the truth. So help me, whoever. Yeah, man. If you have not subscribed, please take a second to subscribe to the channel. Give me a like on this video. Just give it a thumbs up right down there, guys. Please, it's free. And shine on, you crazy diamonds. Yeah, man, I appreciate you guys being here, man. And I do have some more stories planned. Some good ones, actually. Thank you for the Bloody Mess and the Scabs t-shirt orders. If you still want to order, you've got until this Saturday to get me your shirt size and your address and send me the payment. You can just hit me up in the email or look for the video on this channel about those t-shirts being made, which the cutoff date, like I say, is this coming Saturday if you want to get in on those shirts. They're black with the original first Bloody Mess and the Scabs 1989 EP cover on the front, done by a very notorious artist, I will say. And got another announcement coming up, man, in probably less than a week of something else I'm releasing on my Fanatic Records label. Yep. Fanatic Records, been going since 1997. Listen, guys, thanks for being here, man. Tribe. Talk to you guys soon, hopefully tomorrow. Rock and roll. Oh, wait a minute. There's something I got to do, man. There's somebody I want to shout out. I'm going to do it while I'm on here. Shout out to Mooney from 1096, man. The drummer for 1096 and one of my very best friends in the world in Kenosha, Wisconsin. He sent me a little care package, and part of that care package was a couple fanzines that Dean Dirt, the singer for 1096, used to publish. And these are the original copies. And there's Dean Dirt himself right there with the word wild over his own face. But yeah, man, these were some really cool fanzines back in the day. This one's called Kino Core Zine. Kino Core. Yeah, man. Dean covered show reviews, record reviews. He did a lot of trash talking, but the truth, not trash talking like to make up stuff. But yeah, man, I was super excited to get this. There's a story on this channel. Some of you guys might remember me talking about a big bar fight we got in at the UK Subs warehouse practice in Kenosha. Check it out, man. I found an article right there. It says, bar continues in emergency room. I'm sorry, brawl. Brawl continues in emergency room. And it's all about how there was a huge fight after that fight at the hospital. And I couldn't believe the amount of memories I forgot. When I read this article, I couldn't believe it, man. People using all kinds of weapons, from tire jacks and brass knuckles and a whole bunch of other stuff, man. I can't remember, but just, I couldn't believe that newspaper article was in there. There's another picture of Dean Dirt. There he is, man. Dean Dirt, rest in peace. Rock and roll. Hey, Mooney, thanks for sending me these fanzines, bro. I love you, wank. Yeah, dude, I really do appreciate it, man. Moon is the best, and he's still out there. He actually watches my videos. Leave a comment for Mooney. I don't know if he reads comments. Probably not. 1096.